20 years, 2 decades behind federal walls, and in all that time he never said a word. No interviews, no tell-all books, no podcasts from prison phones, just silence. But now, Big Meech is home, and for the first time he's talking, and what he's saying is changing everything people thought they knew about BMF. The first thing Meech wants the world to understand is something that sounds impossible. In a 15-year documented conspiracy from 1990 to 2005, the DEA never once saw him with product. They never heard him talk about it on the phone. They never watched him make a single sale. Not once. 30 years. That's the sentence he received for a crime they never physically witnessed him commit. Now think about that. The most famous drug organization of the last 30 years. A name that Drake, Jeezy, and Lil Wayne put in their lyrics. An empire that stretched across 12 states with over 500 members, and the man at the top of it was never caught with a single gram in his hands. So how did they get him? Conspiracy. The same charge that has put more black men in federal prison than any other statute in American history. You do not need to touch the product. You do not need to be on the phone. You do not need to be in the room. All they need is for someone else to say your name. That is it. That is the whole case. Meech said something that most people in his position would never admit. He said that he had made peace with himself and that he was doing time for what he had gotten away with. Not for what they proved, for what he knows he did. He said that you know what you got away with in life. You know what you have done. You do not have to never speak on it. That is not a man making excuses. That is a man who looked at the situation, did the math, and accepted the result. 20 years for the things they could not prove. But the biggest revelation from Meech was not about the case. It was about the money, specifically how BMF invented something that changed nightclub culture forever. Making it rain. Everyone has seen it. Cash thrown in the air at strip clubs. 1s and 5s falling like confetti. It became a hip-hop staple. Rappers put it in songs. Music videos made it iconic. But nobody ever explained where it came from or why. Meech explained it. And the reason is not what anyone expected. BMF was doing business with Colombian cartels. When you are buying 100 bricks at a time, the Colombians want big bills, hundreds and 50s. They will not take 1s and 5s. They simply will not touch them. So every time BMF made a sale on the street level, the 1s and 5s came back and they piled up. Jewelry stores would only accept them so many times before they said no more. Car dealerships stopped taking them. You could not walk into a bank with $50,000 in 1s without triggering every alarm in the building. Meech said that when you look up, they had garbage bags full of 1s and 5s. Garbage bags full of money and nowhere to spend it. The strip club was the solution. The women who worked there accepted cash in any denomination. They used that money to pay their bills, pay for school, and take care of their kids. And BMF could get rid of hundreds of thousands of dollars in small bills in a single night. But it was not just about dumping cash. Meech understood the secondary value. When you throw $350,000 in 1s at a strip club, every other dealer in the building sees it, and they start asking questions. Who is that? How did he get that much money? How do I get on with him? Meech put it plainly. First, I am getting more clientele attracted. They think, damn, this man just threw my entire re-up money. You cannot beat them. Join them. Then you have the women. You bless them. They dance all night. The next man thinks, I have to get my money together. Making it rain was not a flex. It was a marketing strategy disguised as a party. It attracted new business. It built loyalty with the women who worked the clubs. and it moved hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash that no legitimate business would accept. He traced it back even further to the Chambers brothers and the video in the 80s where they threw the money. "What are we going to do with all this?" he asked. "We are just going to throw it back." That is Detroit's way. A city tradition turned into a national phenomenon, and it started with garbage bags of ones that Colombian cartels refused to count. The next thing Meech revealed was how he built BMF's team, not just who he recruited, but how he chose people. And this is the part that sounds like it came from a business textbook, not a street interview. He said the guy with nothing that knows everybody, he is the one. Think about that. Not the toughest guy, not the richest guy, not the guy with the most connections to suppliers. The guy who has nothing but knows everybody. Meech explained it. In every city he went to, there was always a man who was running around doing things for the bigger dealers, but never getting his due. He knew the streets, he knew the people, he was loyal, but nobody ever gave him a real chance. Meech gave him that chance. He said, "I always used to say that same person you giving the gun to, get him some work to put him on his feet." And I did that. And the dudes that did get down like that turned into millionaires. He turned the overlooked into the overachievers. He turned runners into bosses. He said, "You never know what you could do until you get a chance. People don't give you a chance. That's what's wrong with people in charge. They don't want to give you. They want to keep you under them, so they keep you broke." Meech did the opposite. He wanted his people to enjoy the same lifestyle he enjoyed. He said, "I'm not going to move to the suburb and come to the ghetto to get you every day. No, we all live in the suburb." That philosophy, elevating everyone around you instead of keeping them beneath you, is why BMF had 500 members across 12 states who all moved as one unit. It wasn't fear that held them together, it was opportunity. That same philosophy is how BMF accidentally launched one of the biggest rap careers of the 2000s. Jeezy was brought into the BMF circle by a member named Blue. It was organic. Jeezy was already part of that life. Meech described nights where they would be sitting around counting millions of dollars, and Jeezy would bring tracks he had been working on. They would listen while they counted. Meech would pick his favorites. Number 1, number 10, number 16. Then they would play those songs at the clubs that night. The moment Meech knew it was real was when they pulled up to a club called Majesty, and everybody outside was already singing the words before BMF even walked through the door. He said he almost had tears in his eyes. He said, "We really going to make it?" But when it came time to sign Jeezy, Meech was dealing with a double murder charge. He spent 26 days in county jail on Rice Street and became the only person in that jurisdiction to get a bond on a double murder. By the time he came home, Jeezy had already signed with Boys N' Da Hood. Meech did not hold a grudge. He gave Jeezy a Ferrari. He funded the Trap or Die mixtape with DJ Drama. He said Drama told him it was the most money he had ever received at that time. The Smack DVDs captured all of it, BMF moving as a unit, living the life that Jeezy was rapping about. The world felt like they were watching someone live their raps in real time. And that authenticity is what launched Jeezy from Atlanta to the world. Meech also revealed how conspiracy charges really work in the federal system, and it's more terrifying than most people understand. He told a story about a man he knew in prison. The man's cousin was under federal investigation, phone tapped, being followed. The feds had been watching him for months. One day, the cousin called the man who wasn't involved, a regular 9-to-5 worker, and asked if their aunt had cooked. She hadn't. So the man said he'd grab some food and liquor and come over. He called back from KFC. "I'm at KFC. What do you want?" The cousin said, Just give me 2 wings and a biscuit. That phone call, a man literally ordering fried chicken, got him indicted on a federal drug conspiracy. 10 years. The man was actually at KFC. He was actually ordering food. But because his cousin's phone was tapped, and the cousin had previously used food terminology as code when conducting real business, the feds tied him in. 10 years for 2 wings and a biscuit, and he hasn't gotten back yet. Meech said it plain, all you got to do is hand them any type of money. They got that conspiracy. That's it. What the feds did to Meech inside prison tells you more about how dangerous they considered him than the charges on his indictment. They put him in the SMU program at Lewisburg, the Special Management Unit. On paper, the program was described as being for the most violent and disruptive inmates in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. In reality, Meech said it is code for the most influential. 23 hours a day in a cell, 1 hour out, 5-minute showers with the water cut off at the end, handcuffed behind your back every time you left the cell. If you did not cuff up when they told you to, they gassed you. The prison was one of the oldest in the federal system. Blind spots everywhere. Inmates were thrown downstairs while handcuffed behind their backs, unable to catch themselves. Meech did 2 years in those conditions. He described it simply, I ain't feel like I was in jail until I went to the shoe. That is when I felt like I was in jail. The government did not put him in the SMU because he was violent. They put him there because even from behind bars, he had influence. Guards respected him. Inmates followed him. The system could not control what he represented, a black man from Detroit who had turned a group of strangers from different cities into a family that moved as one. But here is what might be the most surprising thing Meech said in this entire interview. When asked if he would change anything, the empire, the money, the parties, the 20 years in prison, he said no, nothing. Not even the prison time. He said prison was the best thing that ever happened to me. If I would not have went to prison when I went, I would probably be in jail right now for way longer, God forbid. He said he learned what it means to be a real man. He learned discipline from the federal system, the politics, the structure, the rules about paperwork and accountability. And he took that discipline and applied it to his life after release. He said something that every young person listening needs to hear. I implemented the discipline and the structure that I learned being in the feds into my everyday life. A man who had $8.5 million worth of cars, homes and condos in 7 states, prime seats at every major event, the most recognized name in street culture. And he is saying that prison, not the money, not the fame, not the empire, was the best thing that ever happened to him, because prison is where he finally grew up. The world Big Meech came home to in 2024 is nothing like the one he left in 2005. When he went in, there were no smartphones, no Instagram, no Twitter, no trolls, no viral clips, no podcasts. People communicated face to face, and reputations were built in person. Now he is navigating a world where people who have never met him have opinions about him, where anonymous accounts question his character, where the internet turns rumors into truth and truth into entertainment. His response to all of it was simple. I know who I am. I am comfortable in who I am. I did time with the worst of the worst. Law enforcement, everybody respect me because I am an honorable man. They never asked me to do no type of snitching. And then he said something that cuts deeper than any flex or any war story. You cannot let someone's opinion be the end-all be-all to what you are trying to accomplish in life. 20 years ago, Big Meech was the most powerful figure in black street culture. He had the money, the cars, the jewelry, the parties, the connections. He had Jay-Z asking who owns those Maybachs. He had Jeezy recording in his living room while his crew counted millions on the table. He had 5,000 people at his birthday party, and nobody paid for a single drink. Today, Big Meech is 57 years old. He is a grandfather. He is building legitimate businesses. His son Lil Meech is starring in the television show based on his life. He is back in Detroit for the first time in 21 years, and the city is embracing him like he never left. He came home 7 years early. First, the 782 Amendment took time off. Then, Trump's First Step Act removed additional points from his sentence. The system that locked him up eventually gave him the tools to come home sooner than anyone expected. And the man who walked out of Coleman, Florida, on October 15, 2024, is not the same man who walked in 2 decades earlier. He is calmer, he is more strategic, he is more disciplined, and he is more dangerous to the system than he ever was with product, because now he is legal, now he is legitimate, and now he has a story that 20 years of silence made the entire world desperate to hear. Big Meech is free. And for the first time in 20 years, he is talking. The question is not what he said. The question is what he has not said yet.